Reported by John Chancellor with David Brinkley's Journal.
Good evening. We have very bad news tonight. Governor George Wallace of Alabama was shot and wounded today while campaigning in Laurel, Maryland. His press secretary says he is in critical condition. He is at Holy Cross Hospital in Silver Spring, a suburb of Washington. Doctors say Wallace was shot in the chest and abdomen with spinal cord involvement. He was conscious when he arrived at the hospital, and he talked with the doctors. 4 doctors are with him. The shooting took place at a shopping center in Laurel, Maryland. Police have taken a man into custody, and various witnesses say that man fired the shots. He is described as a white male with short blonde hair, 20 to 30 years old. A number of shots were fired. Also wounded was an Alabama state trooper, one of Wallace's bodyguards, Captain E.C. Duthard. His condition is described as poor to fair, and a Secret Service agent was shot in the neck. More on the story now from Catherine Mackin in Washington.
Governor Wallace was shot just after he finished a campaign speech at a Laurel, Maryland shopping center about 15 miles from the nation's capital. The shots hit him as he reached out into the crowd to shake hands. The police got a suspect right away.
Hey, trooper! Get over here! Right over here! Come on, Come on, get these people back. Get these people back. Come on.
The governor was removed from the street, placed in an ambulance, and taken to Holy Cross Hospital in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Ladies and gentlemen, get back. Are you working against him? You people that are for him, help get this crowd back out of the way. Please move aside and let them put the governor on the stretcher there, please, if you will. Let him put the governor on the stretcher.
That's the way it is right now. The way it is right now. Who else was here? Boom!
The NBC cameraman who was covering Governor Wallace when he was shot was Fred Montague. Fred, what happened?
Well, the governor had just finished speaking at the Laurel Shopping Center to a crowd of about 500 people. He started off the platform. It seems like he wanted to go into the crowd immediately. Wouldn't expect this. And then some of his bodyguards or secret police seemed like they wanted to dissuade him. There was a little huddle around the platform. But in any event, he took off his coat and started toward the crowd. He went to his left. At that point, since he is a small man, I lost him in the crowd. I immediately cut my camera and started to go around the crowd to get a better shot of him to the other side of the platform. This is the point at which I heard the shots ring out. There were 4 shots. At first we thought they were just firecrackers because they must have come from a small caliber pistol. They were very light shots.
The man who shot him must have been very close to him.
He must have walked right into him. Seconds after I cut my camera and started to walk around to where I expected him to go. So actually, he must have been waiting for him. And Governor Wallace walked right into him.
Governor Wallace had been campaigning in Maryland, where they hold a presidential primary tomorrow. Wallace has been drawing good crowds in Maryland, and here is what his campaign looked like earlier today before he was shot.
Until this incident of pennies and popsicles being thrown at Governor Wallace last Thursday near Lanham, Maryland, which is just outside of Washington, the governor had not been heckled much this year anywhere in the country. Then Thursday night, 2 rocks were thrown as he addressed a rally in Frederick, Maryland, and more objects were thrown as he left that rally. This morning at a Wheaton, Maryland shopping center, the hecklers were out in force. They were quite young and for the most part not mean, although 3 oranges, some pennies, and some paper airplanes were hurled at the governor as he spoke. The bodyguards around the governor on the podium are the Alabama State Police, and they seem very worried.
Are not for us, will listen to us. Maybe I'll convince you in a moment, and maybe you'll decide to be for me.
Tonight in Annapolis at 8 o'clock. And that's the 2 rallies that we have today, and we'd like to
And of course, the American system is to let each one express his viewpoint, and I hope you listen to me. I want to appeal for the support of people. Well, I'm going home, but I'm going home after tomorrow when the people have spoken in this state of Michigan, and when they speak, you're going to find out that the majority of the people in this country are filled up. I appreciate it.
President Nixon heard about the shooting immediately from the Secret Service. He sent one of his personal White House physicians to the hospital and extra Secret Service agents as well. Mr. Nixon called Mrs. Wallace, who was with her husband at the time of the shooting and is with him now in the hospital. The president deplored today's senseless and tragic incident and said the nation has suffered more than enough already from the intrusion of violence into the political process. Senator George McGovern, one of Wallace's chief rivals in the presidential primaries, suspended his campaigning and said hatred and the bullet have no place in a society of free men and women. All of us, said McGovern, must count this vicious assault on Governor Wallace as an assault on everything dear and valued in our national life. Senator Hubert Humphrey, the other chief rival in the primaries, went to Holy Cross Hospital while the doctors were with Governor Wallace. And here's a report on that.
Wallace was brought to Holy Cross Hospital here in suburban Washington. He was taken immediately to a special emergency room in which a team of doctors is constantly on duty. He was examined initially by 4 doctors who, according to a press spokesman, said he had been shot 3 times. Once in the left arm, once under the right rib cage, and once in the general stomach area. The doctors delayed operating immediately because of fear Wallace may have suffered some injury to his spinal column. And because of this, they decided to call in a neurosurgeon for consultation and advice. According to the governor's aides, Wallace was conscious when he arrived at the hospital, but he obviously was very much in pain. This is Paul Duke, NBC News at Holy Cross Hospital, Silver Spring, Maryland.
And all across the country this afternoon, Americans were learning with horror that we've had another political shooting, another attempt at assassination. It was only 4 years ago, also in an election year, that Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King were killed. Here is David Brinkley.
Disturbing to see, as we do see, that in the American political system, the 2 decisive instruments of decision are the ballot box and the gun. Had John Kennedy not been murdered, he very likely would have been re-elected and Lyndon Johnson not elected, and we can only speculate about how different this country's modern history might have been. Had Robert Kennedy not been murdered, he might have been a candidate for president, if not last time, this time. And now George Wallace. Whether or not he had any real chance to be president, he did speak the views of a great many people, and he did lead a political movement of substantial size and growing. And now he is removed from this campaign, and for the 3rd time in a few years, the decision was made not by the ballot box, but by the gun. Another unattractive possibility that has to be considered is this. In a country that does seem to have more than its share of desperados prone to violence, it is possible that political assassins, like airplane hijackers, will try to repeat some insane stunt they have read about or heard about. The other candidates now will have to consider this. It would be gravely damaging to American democracy if candidates for president could campaign only on television and not in public for fear of being shot.
This is NBC Nightly News, brought to you by Monroe Auto Equipment Company, makers of shock absorbers and load leveler stabilizing units.
We all know that wheels roll. Many of us, though, forget that wheels also bounce. If your car wheels were allowed to bounce unrestricted, there'd be no way to control your car. That's what shock absorbers are for, to keep your wheels from bouncing out of control. If your shocks are worn, they can't do their job. We know. At Monroe, we make shock absorbers. When was the last time you had your shock absorbers checked?
George Blanda, at 43, is still outperforming the rookies. George, you sure stay on the young side.
I can't kick. Of course, it takes sensible exercise and sensible eating.
Like breakfast, starting with Product 19, the high-potency cereal with all the officially established minimum daily adult requirements for vitamins and iron.
Can't kick about the good taste, either.
Stay on the young side. Start with Kellogg's Product 19.
There will be 2 presidential primaries tomorrow, one in Maryland and one in Michigan. And despite the fact that he lies critically wounded, Governor George Wallace is the favorite in Maryland's Democratic presidential primary, and he is expected to do very well in Michigan. Now, no one can say what the outcome of either will be, but the main issue in Michigan is still the same. And Douglas Kiker has a report on that.
There is only one big issue in the Michigan Democratic primary, and that issue is busing. 2 of the major candidates here, Hubert Humphrey and George McGovern, are afraid of it. Humphrey kept out of the state until late last week. Then he came bounding in, saying he was ready and willing to take on Wallace here.
Beautiful day here. It's just time to go Wallace hunting.
But Humphrey had not been in Michigan 20 minutes before he was forced to take on not Wallace, but the busing issue. His answer was, he's for one-way busing only.
Nobody in their right mind, let's talk common sense, nobody in their right mind is going to send a child from a good school to a poor school.
You don't?
No, and I'm opposed to it. Let's make it very clear. I don't care what anybody says. I'm opposed to sending children from a good school to a poor school.
Humphrey spent the weekend conducting the sort of frenzied, non-stop campaign he is noted for. He is hoping that blacks and union members will support him because he's an old, reliable friend, and he is counting on the party organization to turn out a vote for him. But Humphrey came in too late and with too little, and the result has not been very impressive. For example, when he visited this union hall to address Democratic bloc leaders, a crowd of 400 was expected, but only a handful showed up. So the meeting was moved to a tiny conference room. George McGovern has his usual natural constituency here in Michigan, those opposed to the war in Vietnam, and he has a strong statewide organization. But McGovern disappointed his followers by also waiting until the last minute to campaign in a limited way here. And like Humphrey, McGovern was quickly confronted by the busing issue. His answer was, he's for busing, but there really are much more important issues.
I can't believe the people of this state see the school bus as a greater enemy to their future than the war in Southeast Asia. It's the war that's killing our children, not the school bus.
How you doing there, bud?
McGovern's supporters believed he could take a lot of the blue-collar vote away from Wallace if he spent a lot of time here fighting for it. But there were only a few factory visits, such as this one, and such ventures into anti-busing country were not very successful. McGovern also tried to win black votes away from Humphrey, but it was a last-minute, limited effort which produced little response. George Wallace has spent over twice as much time campaigning in Michigan as McGovern and Humphrey put together. The crowds have been big and the response has been good. Wallace is out to win his first primary victory outside the South, and he believes anti-busing sentiment here will make it possible.
In fact, the news media of our country is watching not only this state, but this state more than any other state.
Democratic Party. Then it became a referendum on busing, and the belief was that Wallace would win this primary. Now Wallace has been shot, and this is bound to make a big difference in the Michigan vote. The feeling is that many voters here who were undecided until now probably will vote for George Wallace tomorrow out of sympathy and outrage. Douglas Kiker, NBC News, Detroit.
The Supreme Court handed down an important decision today in school busing. It said that the city of Norfolk, Virginia must provide free bus service to about 24,000 school children under a school desegregation plan. The buses would be used for children, black and white, whose homes are too far from the schools to permit them to walk. The court also upheld the right of the Amish people to educate their children themselves after the children have finished the 8th grade in public school. The Amish in Wisconsin contended that forcing their children to attend public high schools would help destroy the Amish way of life.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
You ate it, Ralph.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
No, Ralph, I ate it.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
Take 2 Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer neutralizes all the acid your stomach has churned out. For your upset stomach and headache, take Alka-Seltzer and feel better fast.
Did you drink your Alka-Seltzer?
The whole thing.
Introducing the new Spidell Thin Line watch band. A breakthrough. It links new comfort to Twisterflex watch band strength. New Spidell Thin Line. 1/3 thinner. Link up to Thin Line. Thinnest, most elegant Twisterflex watch band Spidell ever designed. Spidell, #1 in watch bands. The only one with Twisterflex watch bands.
The Defense Department today disclosed that in addition to mining Haiphong and 6 other harbors in North Vietnam, that American planes have dropped mines into some rivers and canals in North Vietnam. The Pentagon said the objective is to prevent supplies from getting to the enemy in South Vietnam. The United States Military Command said that a 6th aircraft carrier, the Saratoga, has sailed from the Philippines to join those already on duty off North Vietnam. 3 more destroyers and a guided missile frigate have been added to the fleet on station in the South China Sea. In Washington today, at a hearing, Senator William Proxmire questioned Secretary of State Rogers closely on the connection between these measures and Vietnamization.
If the Vietnamization is working in the South Vietnam, or the Vietnamese are able to take over more of this, why is this extraordinary kind of lethal and dangerous confrontation necessary?
First place, this is the least offensive maneuver that could have been taken. It was clear that if we were going to support the South Vietnamese at a time when they were under this massive attack, and there's no denying that we should do these things which were as restrained as we could devise. We think that it could very well bring about a failure of the invasion of the South by the North, and if that is the case, we think it's quite possible that the other side will decide that the advisable course is negotiate a settlement. So I don't agree that it's a dangerous tactic. I don't believe it's going to result in a major confrontation, and I think it may very well lead to a negotiated settlement. Now is the time, it seems to me, to support the President, not to be critical, not to go back over and try to figure out who made mistakes in the past. Certainly there are enough mistakes made so we can all share it, and that discredit or credit.
What good Americans do is to pray for the President and hope that he's making right decisions, but never, ever to give up on criticizing. That's what makes our country different than the totalitarian countries. It's our responsibility, if we feel the President of the United States is doing the wrong thing, to say so.
In the ground war, the South Vietnamese today scored a victory in the north, but they are being beaten in the Central Highlands. Southwest of Hue, the South Vietnamese retook Fire Base Bastogne, a key outpost on the way to the former imperial capital. The South Vietnamese were unopposed in that action. The enemy had pulled back, and there was some speculation that the attack on Hue may come from a few miles south. In the Central Highlands, the North Vietnamese now are within 1.5 miles of Kon Tum, and the enemy has again cut Highway 19 leading to the coast.
Hi, I'm Florence Henderson.
My husband and I do a lot of entertaining, and we live by a very simple rule. Always treat your company like family, and always treat your family like company. Well, why put candles on the table only when company's around? Or serve an elegant dessert like this one, only on elegant occasions? Especially this one. It's a brand new dessert from the Jell-O people that looks like you spent all afternoon making it. It's called Soft Swirl, and it's elegant like a mousse, creamy like a Bavarian, yet so light it peaks and swirls. And there's a flavor to please every member of your family: peach, strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. The kids will love them all. And the best part is you can serve Jell-O's Soft Swirl 15 minutes after you first think of it to make any dinner a special one. So now you can treat your family like company, even when there's no company around.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad, can we eat now? I want to have some.
Dig in, family.
Introducing the Scripto 19 Center, a 19-cent fiber tip pen that writes just like the 49-cent fiber tips. Writes bold, writes light. And it's good to know that the new Scripto 19 Center writes just as long as the leading 49-cent fiber tip. And that's a long, long, long time. Try the new Scripto 19 Center. You 49-cent fiber tips, the handwriting is on the wall.
On June 1st, Mrs. David Scott hung a shell no-pest strip. There were 2 flies in the room. The no-pest strip killed them. In mid-July, when the guys came over, they accidentally let in 2 mosquitoes and 3 gnats. The no-pest strip dealt with them. The end of September, Linda Scott became Mrs. John Martin in the presence of 11 guests, 1 minister, and 7 flies. The no-pest strip took care of the flies unceremoniously. Shell no-pest strip, now improved to last up to 4 months.
Byron Schultz, a survivor of the fire in the Sunshine Silver Mine in Kellogg, Idaho, today told a House committee that he had been given no instructions on what to do in case of such an emergency. Union officials added that the 91 men who died in the mine had no maps of escape routes and carried masks that in some cases didn't work. In San Francisco, the West Coast longshoremen and their employees today announced agreement on the wage settlement which had been ordered by the pay board. The board cut a negotiated raise by 1/4, but this means no dock strike. In Bonn, West Germany, the Christian Democratic opposition today dropped its objections to Chancellor Willy Brandt's treaties with the Soviet Union and Poland. That means that the vote on the treaties on Wednesday in West Germany will be little more than a formality. The stock markets opened the week today with small gains and relatively light trading. The Dow Jones Industrials went up a fraction of a point. On the New York Exchange, the average price of a share gained 21 cents. On the American Exchange, the average price of a share gained 12 cents. The island of Okinawa was returned to Japan today by the United States after 27 years of occupation. But the Americans didn't leave Okinawa. The United States still has military bases there and many civilian workers. Some Okinawans don't like that, and today they demonstrated. Many Japanese don't like it either, and they demonstrated in Tokyo. The day Okinawa was returned to Japan, thousands protested in Tokyo. They liked getting the island back, but they didn't like Americans still keeping military bases there. Yet that was the only way the Japanese government could get Washington to go along with the deal, and even then it wasn't easy. During the talks, which took 2 years, both sides reportedly came close to losing their tempers any number of times. While a lot of Japanese were angry about the terms involved in the return of Okinawa, government officials were glad to get it back, even with the Americans still on it. The moment came when Prime Minister Sato led Emperor Hirohito and his wife into Tokyo's Budo Hall. Vice President Agnew was there as President Nixon's special representative. Yet the day really belonged to Prime Minister Sato. Many Japanese feel he's too close to Americans and was exploited because of it. But now, regaining Okinawa was, for Sato, his vindication, a triumph that took nearly 8 years of work. As he spoke, his eyes filled with tears. Then there was a moment of silent prayer to remember the dead. The past as well as the present filled the hall. Okinawa was the bloodiest battle of the Pacific War. It claimed the lives of more than 200,000 people. 14,000 of them American. Names like Naha, the Shuri Castle Ridge, still live with those who fought there. For Americans, Okinawa was a cruel, bloody victory. For the Japanese, it was a punishing defeat that left despair and disgrace.
This ceremony marks a turning point in the relations between our two countries, for it resolves the last major issue of the war. It is the end of an era, but more importantly, it is the beginning of a new one in which we can expect an even greater community of interests between our two great nations. I am confident that this new relationship, based upon full partnership, is well launched with today's historic event.
After his remarks, Mr. Agnew handed Prime Minister Sato the proclamation officially returning Okinawa to Japan. In triumphs like this, the Japanese know only one way to salute themselves and their emperor.
Nippongoku Banzai! Banzai! Banzai!
Phil Brady, NBC News, Tokyo. Earlier on this program, we saw Senator Hubert Humphrey talking about Wallace hunting in Michigan. Obviously, Senator Humphrey said that several days ago, and obviously it was meant only politically. Senator Humphrey is, of course, shocked and saddened by what happened to Governor Wallace today, as we all are. At this hour, there is no later word on Governor Wallace's condition. Late this afternoon, the White House announced that in view of the shooting, Senator Edward Kennedy has been given the protection of the Secret Service, even though he is not a candidate for the presidency, and Secret Service protection has also been given to Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, who is a candidate. Kennedy knows the meaning of assassination probably better than any other living American, having lost two brothers, and now he will have to travel surrounded by armed guards. The Secret Service is a capable and often brilliant organization, but as we saw today, even the bravest agents can't stop an attempt at assassination. The only answer lies deep somewhere in the American soul, and as of now, it doesn't look as though we've been cleansed of the stain of violence in our national life. Good night for NBC News.
Grab a bucket and mop. Scrub the bottom and top. There is nothing so clean as my burger machine. With a broom and a brush, clean it up for the rush. Before you open the door, or to shine on the floor. When we finish one dance, start all over again. Tell me, what does it mean? At McDonald's it's clean. You deserve a break today. So get up and get away to McDonald's.
Baobab tree, a dwelling place for spirits and the home of many strange creatures. I'm Orson Welles. Join me in Africa for a fascinating special, Secrets of the African Baobab. Tuesday at 8:30, 7:30 Central Time.
This is WSMTV, Nashville's #1 news station.
The Bug and the Bike. Superior Motors brings you both for $99 down. You get a new 1972 Volkswagen plus a 10-speed, $125 European bike. The Bug and the Bike. Both are yours for $99 down and 36 payments of $68.30. You save money and boost the ecology, too. A really superior deal at a really superior dealer. Superior Motors, 630 Murfreesboro Road. Their bugs have bikes.
Hi. How about calling me? It's that time again. Time for me to inspect your home. I'm your Orkin man, and this is termite season.